Hi, I'm Catherine, the creator of Shia and the Jetsons Community Preservation of the Promised Land. And I want to thank all of my subscribers that are sending out the poster magazines to, the rules and regulations of the Promised Land to all of the people who are responsible for our genocide and our death currently today. Okay, so we're going to talk about and I want to thank you for Jamal's quick response because you responded to the email that one of my subscribers had sent to you, and they sent you the rules and regulations of the Promised Land, and we're trying to free Larry Hoover. Now, the problem with all Negro, I don't like to say black because it's just not good. I like the word Negro because Negro is a sacred word and that's our word. Okay, so every Negro attorney are talking in the language where it's the death of us because you're not being truthfully honest when you speak to, and this is what they are, because technically they're criminals to us. They're not criminals to their own people because they invaded our lands. They removed your great great grandparents. Okay, so here is the email that you sent with your quick response. I really thank you so much. So this is you right here. Okay, so one of my subscribers had sent it to my email, and that you couldn't see. You have to see a video. So I'm going to show you this video, okay, to let you understand that we've been removed from our homes by the people that you face in court every day. So in 1830, there was treaties that were broken, okay, by them. They came to our lands and they literally murdered us within our buildings. So the buildings, most of the buildings, of course, are all gone. But before, we had cities and cities of schools, universities. We had hospitals. We had housing. We had big, huge building structures. We had temples, cities galore. When we talk about the Oklahoma City, that was just the last of our communities that was burnt down. Okay, but that right there was a tiny town compared to what we had in every state. In every state, it's where. Okay, so my thing is this: we're being murdered and genocide out. Why are we being murdered and genocide out? Because Negro attorneys accept the fact that, well, that's just the way it is. Well, this is the law. When you talk like that to another attorney, that gets them richer. They can stay in your house. They can continue to dictate your life, our life. They can continue to murder because you're talking to appease them. You're murdering us when you comply to their rule, right? You have to come to court, and I'm hoping that you can represent me because we're talking about freeing Larry Hoover, and it has to be in a public national platform where my thing is this: I have a patent company. It's Shia and the Jetsons Community Preservation of the Promised Land, and I patent my company for every single Negro person at the starting age of 16 that will be on their birth certificate, that they will receive a free top of the line 2019-2022 RV motorhome coach for them to travel to learn about the identity that was stolen from them, to travel in the most beautiful areas, in the areas that we were stolen from, and that we would have to learn about our natural resources, our food and water, because we're being forced to pay for food and water that's already ours. And we're being murdered and genocide out. And we have to start with the case of Larry Hoover, because Larry Hoover was the one in his all of his 12 disciples, King Solomon, King David, 12 disciples, they're being they're all being locked up, and they're the ones that brung the peace in the neighborhood. There's a kid named Yummy, and the reason why he did what he did, when you just type in Yummy, the case of Yummy, you already know about it. And you already know why. I'm just preaching to the choir. Okay, so you already know why Yummy and his parents are the way that they were, because the 12 disciples and King David and all them were locked up. Who locked them up? All of the court judges, the prosecuting attorney, and the court judges that sentenced that accused Larry Hoover of a crime have to go to prison themselves. Okay, and this is the lawsuit that we would have to base it on the basis of discovery. We discovered we discovered in our lives, because in our personal life, each and every person is being genocided out. We're being murdered on our own land. And we can only present the truth to them. We cannot tell a lie. And we cannot come humble. We have to come angry, but yet happy, because we just discovered that the judge that you're going to face, that we're all going to face, has to come up out that seat. We just discovered, and you have to come with him like this. Now, in your mind, in your body and soul, you're coming in with a wife beater, some shorts, and some tennis shoes without the socks. You're coming in like Mike Tyson, right? But of course, on the physical outside, you're gonna dress nice, your little suit. You're gonna come presentable, and you're gonna be presentable. But in your mind, heart, and soul, you coming in there like that, like the wife beater and shit, because you're not pulling no. You know what I'm saying? You look, you're coming in with the truth, and that's what makes you happy, because it's like, look, yeah. So, and don't call them your honor, because it ain't nothing nothing honorable of what's sitting in that seat. You have to get it up out of there. That's your whole thing, and your whole thing is to publicly announce on national TV when you represent me, because I have to present the rules and regulations of the Promised Land. That's what the whole thing is, and we're going to start simultaneously with two cases, my case and then with Larry Hoover case. My case is where every single television station network removed us from our homes and now replaced it there, and I'll show you the evidence here. Now, when I show you what you're going to see here, you're going to see how our great grandparents built buildings, structures, television station networks, and they were right there where our grandparents are at. So they removed our grandparents in Chicago in 1830 of the Indian Removal Act. So that means that the Indian Removal Act removed us from our homes in 1830 of Dancing Rabbit Creek. I'll put in all of the information you need to see. When they removed us with brass reeves. My grandfather and father was fighting against brass reeves because they were removing us out of our homes. So technically, I would be a gingerbread colored outlaw. Basically, we're all gingerbread colored outlaws because they're gingerbread color, and we're outside of their law, outside of their foreign law. Okay, so they're foreigners, and they're foreigners on our own land that have to get off of our land based on Donald Trump's executive orders. So based on Donald Trump executive orders, they have to get out of office immediately. When we file this public class action lawsuit, it has to be nationally known publicly. Nothing can be hidden. Nothing. Everything has to be out in the open, because we're only basing it on truth and facts. Nothing else. We're not sugarcoating it. We're not exaggerating anything. No, we're going by the truth only. That technically they have to get out of the seat of what we're going after. Who are we going after? Court judges. NBC television station network had put, that's mine. The NBC television station network is mine, because they removed my grandparents, Larry Hoover's grandparents in Chicago, from their homes and put the television station network there in 1910. Now, my great grandparents was in court in 1902 in the same television station network buildings, in the same area in Chicago. Okay, in 1902, here are the Darus, and you will see deeds of the commissioner, United States commissioner, telling our great grandparents, yes, we removed you from your homes and all of the resources is stolen. Yes, we did, on page 6. But because we removed you, 640 acres is yours. You're entitled to that. So are you claiming your status? And she said, yes, I'm claiming it. Okay, well, tell us where your grandfather is. So she has to be like, I don't know where my grandfather is. Her grandfather owns half of Florida. But if she said it, then they would go after him and murder him because they're all criminals. And so in this deed, you will see how they're asking her questions because she was kidnapped from the commissioners. The commissioners themselves kidnap the victims. And then they say, okay, you want to apply for your status? Okay, where does your mother and father live? Well, you murdered them. Okay, well, where's your grandfather? Oh, well, he lived down yonder. Then they'll go down yonder and kill the grandfather and then take their land. And that's what they were doing. See, you can see here, we'll let him speak first.
They just go into a country, place out, and then take over their. Just go into a country, plague the whole place out, and then take over their buildings. New York was already there for thousands of years. San Francisco was there for thousands of years. Los Angeles was there for thousands of years. They were built by the indigenous people who were black and Indians as well. Whoa. The black people, they are the original owners of America. Black people, African Americans, they were already here, and they plagued them out, and they stole the Smithsonian Institute, which is Jesuit controlled, stole their knowledge, stole their history, and now we're just left wondering who we are, where we come from, where we're going. We don't know anything.
Okay, now the reason why he doesn't know his history was because most white Caucasian people don't know that their grandfathers stole our great grandparents' homes and cities, and I'm talking about big, huge structures of hospitals and television station networks and carnivals and theme parks. We had all that. So everything you see here is technically ours. So I would like you to represent me, and you would have to get 12 of your. I like to say 12 and 13 because it's like 12 disciples. And I like you to get your people that is either lawyers or not, but they're the people that believe in you and understand and know what's going on. And you would have to present yourself, in court, of course, and you would represent me. And then, what would have to happen is that we come with mercy. We come to them and we come with mercy. We're not going there as violent people, but what we do is we have to remove them from office if they say no. So we have to present the evidence, and we have to present it so that they can, because they have to agree. If they don't agree, then your minions would have to physically remove that court judge from his position and put him in prison where Hoover was locked up at, because Hoover would represent his story in the television station network that I own. So I would own NBC television station network. I would air Larry Hoover's story, your story, that you are a lawyer, so you own courthouses now, because this is what you do. You own courthouses. You would have to get that judge that we're going to, because what we're doing is a public class action lawsuit where nothing is hidden. Everything is out in the open. We have to tell the truth. We have to stand on our truth. The reason why we're removing this judge here is because he accused Larry Hoover of a crime, which was none of his business. He was never supposed to be in our country because all of the European race was supposed to have been executed by the black and white British Moors when they came over here. When we talk about Paul Revere, we're talking about, hold on for 1 second. We're talking about, when we talk about, when we're talking about, we're talking about a person who was actually removed from their homes. So when we talk about Paul Revere, we're talking about a criminal, a bloodline race criminal who came here as a criminal. All of the European race came here as criminals. When they came here as criminals, they removed us from our homes, right? And actually, they came here as criminals, and they were supposed to be executed. by the black and British Moors. That's why they were the lookout for the British. Paul Revere and all of them were the lookout for the British. When the British came to execute them, they battled and they fought. They didn't win, but instead they went in. They went in with their slave captors. So the slave masters and the slave captors. Now the indentured slaves were people like Benjamin Franklin, Abraham Lincoln. I will give you all the information here on the description box. Don't worry about that. I'm just letting you know who these people are in office right now that are genociding us out. Benjamin Franklin, Abraham Lincoln were all criminals. They all came over here as criminals, indentured slaves to the British Crown. Now, when you see these buildings here in the 1800s, these were all ours. You can see them in Chicago, LA, big, huge buildings that we created, right? And then they bombed them later and then built their homes there and their television station network. So my thing is television station network, NBC, in Universal Studios in Studio City, California. I own that. Okay, so I would be representing of that to bring Larry Hoover and show him his television station network in his facility. What does Larry Hoover run? He runs all prison systems. That's what he would do. You would run all courtrooms, court buildings. That's what you do because you're a lawyer and you're indigenous and this is your land. What I mean by that is that the judge that we're going to talk to, the seat that he's sitting on, the pen that he's using, the paper, all of that is yours. All of it. The building, the brick and mortar, that's yours. Because they removed you from your homes and they put theirs there and now they're telling you you have to go to prison. And they would bring the drugs and all of the drugs over here and accuse us of a crime. So they would commit the crime and bring it off on us and then blame us for it and lock us up. This is why you have to take them to jail. And you come with happiness because you discovered some shit. And what you discovered is in the Black Law Dictionary. Okay, now you discovered that now this is how we're going to present ourselves. We're going to present ourselves as the class action lawsuit of discovery. We're discovering that what we discovered is that every judge who is white, Chinese, Mexican is not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be an indigenous person that can rule, that can have the rule of law. And it has to be only Negro lawyers like yourself that have to own all courtrooms. Because right now, there is no companies that they're running. Everything's shutting down anyway. So they're already leaving by design. It's all happening by design. For an example, there is no more police department. Okay, there's no more. They're gone. They're already defunded. You might see the cops car come in there because they're acting as police officers. They're acting. Okay, they're fading away, and they have to because you have to take charge. You really do. Every single indigenous Negro lawyer have to take charge. Okay, and you have to represent me so that you won't die because we're all dying here. And why are we dying? Because Negro attorneys are talking in the way, well, that's the law. That's just what it is. That's how we die. You have to say, I'm sorry, sir, but we have a conflict of interest here. We have to file. You're going to file this public class action lawsuit, and it's going to be a public class action lawsuit where we'll win. It's not about. We're not having it to where we're going to ask them for their opinion. No, we're just making it publicly known of why we're removing this judge from his seat. That's it. We're making it publicly known why Larry Hoover have to be handed the keys and the deed to the prison. The warden have to hand him the deed. Okay? His minions have to pick out who have to stay and who have to come out of there. Because you have innocent people in prison and you have all of the evil people out that's in the courthouse telling you what to do. They're supposed to be in prison because they were supposed to have been executed when they arrived here. Why? Because they were criminals in Europe. They were already criminals in Europe. Benjamin Franklin, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, those people, the founding European fathers of them were all criminals. So if they were supposed to be executed, then they were never supposed to be in office. Now, let's say they're in office and they did good. They did good. They did right by us. Ooh, that's wonderful. You're in office, good. You were bad then, but you're good now. That there's no such thing as that. They came here bad. They came here rotten and evil to the core, and they're even more rotten and evil to the core even now, because every last one of them went to school with you and learned that they were killing us. Even if they, and so because nobody is an African American here, no one except for them. They come from there. They come from over there, because Europe is North Africa. So they technically come from Africa. The white people here that you see in office are technically African Americans, because Europe is North Africa. This is why you have to announce the rules and regulations of the promised land, so we can get all the truth out where we're at, how the maps look, because the map's supposed to be right side up. It's upside down. They're trying to confuse us of who we are. We are we are of Choctaw and different tribes and different nations all over the United States, South America, Canada, and Alaska. There are black bones, there are Negro bones in Canada. Okay? So, and there's people that was pushed up from where we are at up into Canada, because we were in the tears of the trail of tears of the 1830s. Okay, okay. So what you're gonna do is we're gonna file this class action public lawsuit in the NBC television station network in NBC in California. What we'll have is our own studio where we would have to publicly announce, how it is, just like it's like an example of it's like a 24-hour thing that would go on 24 hours, and it'll just be the trial will go on. And what will it show? It will show simultaneously your story, my story, and Larry Hoover. My story is that I'm going to court to have the acting owners of NBC News to hand me the deed and keys to the building, because it's not theirs. It's mine. It's literally mine. I was born in Chicago, right in that area where Larry Hoover is at, right in the area where we were all getting murdered at. Martin Luther King and everybody, we were all getting murdered in that area where they removed us at. This is what you have to think about. This is absolutely devastating to our people when you really learn that, damn, this whole time, let me just show you these buildings. This whole time, okay, so let me just get this. So when we do the public class action lawsuit, you're going to come with your 12 million that's going to speak like you, because you're all professionals. And you don't come humble, and you don't say, yes, your honor. There's no honoring in these things that are sitting in the office. They have to be removed, and that's what you're coming to tell them. I just discovered, on the basis of discovery, that I have to file this class action lawsuit on the discovery that let me see. You have to get the Black Law Dictionary. Get the oldest Black Law Dictionary if you have it. But go under discovery. You must file a class action lawsuit or a public lawsuit on the fact that you discovered that there is land that was taken from you, because it's in here. If you discovered that land was taken from you, then you have to file a public the disclosure coming to light of what was previously hidden, the sequential of notice or knowledge was given act or fact, see, back based on facts, as in regards to the discovery of fraud. If you discover there's fraud affecting the running of the statute of limitations, or the granting of a new trial, or newly discovered evidence, if you discover some newly discovered evidence, if you discovered something like this that we discovered, then your men would have to literally file a public class action lawsuit, because you discovered that your great grandparents was removed, and that the criminals came here and murdered you and murdered us outright. Then made a television station network to brainwash us into believing that their law was right and correct. That's the abomination. That's why we all die, because they're using our resources literally against us. Like they literally stole our land and killed us and are using the blood, bones, and the soil to make the guns to kill us, to make the uniforms for their white people to kill us, to make a television station network to change the narrative of what we should be thinking or whatever. And then they make us pay for food and water that's already ours. That means the television station network is mine. It's ours. Okay? Technically, literally, we have to tell the truth because they can't say, well, you can't just come and take our stuff. What stuff? You mean our stuff? We can prove to you that everything here is ours and that we actually own you. You see, and it's a fact. We own you because you're the ones that was owned by the Black British Moors that were too coward to take care of that deed, take care of the job, and they were supposed to execute you right here. But the Black British Moors are named Moors because you guys named them moronic retards. Because Moor means moron. That you label them as because the action shows that. The Moors brought you here because the Queen Lizard bitch told you that these are the worst people that have to be exiled and have to be thrown and kicked out of their country. They were kicked out of their country because they were criminals, and the Moors helped with that. Dropped them off in here and got overtaken with their retarded ass. That's why they're called the Moors. It stands for morons, moronic, retarded people that are an off-brand shoot of the original black race. They are not indigenous to America. No African American is indigenous. If you're African American, then you have to go back to Africa over there in Morocco. And we want to accommodate you for that. We want to accommodate you and put the promised land there because the promised land is what I create. This is what I do. I'm the creator of the promised land. And I have published this book in 2004 because I was